Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Madison if you are new here, and today I wanted to talk about working in social media marketing. I'm trying to make this video so then anybody who's interested in this career path can be well informed on what they're getting into and just one person's experience working in social media marketing. Obviously it'll be a little bit different for everyone in different companies, or really different for different people depending on where they work. So I just want to explain my experience and how that's been going for me, how I got into it, things like that, just so then someone can be well informed and at least know one piece of it. And then, if they do continue on that path, they'll kind of figure out for themselves what it's like at the company they work for. I don't know. I just thought it'd be really cool to make this video, as this was a job and like a career path I wanted before I graduated college, and I think it would have been cool to hear from somebody else's experience what it was like, instead of just kind of going in blind. I mean, obviously, like from school you can kind of learn what that career path will entail, or like what your day-to-day will look like, but it's kind of cool just to, that's kind of like how YouTube is like a tool for me. I like to just be well researched on certain things by just hearing somebody's experience. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. I have been a social media marketing specialist for like a few months now, maybe like 6 months now. I started at this company as a contractor, the one that I work at now, and I was doing a different marketing position, and it was only supposed to be 3 months. And then after that, I got hired on full-time for social media marketing. And so that's where my whole journey began, working in corporate social media marketing. I have just had this one job. Before that, I did social media marketing for somebody at MetLife, and I worked for them and helped them do that. And then I've also done it for myself. I really love social media, so I've leveraged those skills for my YouTube. I've done it for Victoria's Secret Pink. I've done like influencer type of projects with them, but also as a campus rep, I did it. So I've had experience before my actual first job that I'm mostly basing my experience off of, but I just wanted to let you guys know. My major was communications and my minor was technical and science communication, which is like the weirdest title for what it was. I did do technical writing, which is actually also a good career path to go into, but I did technical writing, copywriting. I did public relations, we did risk management type of stuff. We did like all types of like media classes, and learned about like social media marketing, stuff like that. So it was like a really weird, like CSU needs to rename that minor, because it doesn't, like, you can do science and technical writing, and we did learn how to do that because certain scientists and like people in the STEM field need somebody as like a writer for them to make it the information, like the certain scientific information and jargon, digestible for just anyone in the public audience that would read it. So that's like a big part of that minor, but like you can take different classes for it. I also did digital photography with that minor, so it's like really weird that it's called that, because you could do website, digital marketing, or video production for like your production credit. So it's really interesting. I get what they were going for, but it's just a weird title. So that was my minor. It's like really more geared into what I do for my job. Communications, it was really great because it taught me how to just like communicate effectively online or in big groups, in a workplace, interpersonal communication. I was trying to think of what, and then like professional communication. So it was like all different types of stuff like that. Co-cultural communication or intercultural communication. So there's like some really neat courses in there, and I think that's great if you're going into a career path where you do need to create messaging for different audiences, because you just need to know how to communicate effectively with people, especially because you have to be careful, but also if you want the message to get a customer to use your service or buy your product, like you need to make sure the messaging is tailored to that. So it definitely is applicable to what I do now, but like also with communications, you can go into a communications role in a business, or you can go into a public relations role in a business with that background as well. So that's kind of where my education got me. So basically with social media marketing, day to day, I run social media channels, learn about strategy, create different guidelines for what, like, usually a company will have different content guidelines and visual guidelines and things like that go into the brand and help brand this company and just stay consistent. And so you would take that part of it and then take what you know about social media strategy and throw them together to try to create effective messaging and effective posts and stuff that the audience really wants to engage with. And on top of that, there are different things that go into it too, like community management and growing the channel and brand awareness and things like that. So I wanted to list some of the things that are my favorite parts about doing social media marketing, or like what I like best about the job. I just want to go into that so then I can go into little segues here and there with my different points and hopefully give you guys a really good holistic understanding of my experience in this job and in this career path. So first I put that I love getting to be creative. I'm definitely more of a creative person. I am not as technical when it comes to like math and science and stuff like that. I really do like the creative side of things. Not to say people can't be both, because people really can be both. But I lean more into creativity. So you can definitely be creative by coming up with new campaigns and coming up with different like visual aspects of social media posts, just because it's like, I mean, really, like things on social media, if you just do like a tweet with no picture or a status without a picture, it doesn't perform as well unless you pair it with a video or a photo that's applicable, obviously. To be creative a lot in this role, at least in my experience. And so with different content, it's fun to come up with ideas on like how the campaign, like what it will look like and what components we want in it, on top of just like the visual aspects of the different like videos and photos. So that's really fun. And also it's like, even with like Instagram stories on social media, you can do so much with that, and like just different little like GIFs and things like that and text. And so it is a lot of fun. What else do I have on here? And also too, it's kind of nice to have a little bit more background, at least in my experience again, with like Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop and Adobe InDesign and the different Creative Suite apps, because if you ever want to create your own visuals, or at least help with visuals, it's good to have some background. I have a little bit. I definitely have had to do, for my visual communication courses, I've had to like do different things on Photoshop and stuff like that. And I'm really good with Adobe Premiere Pro, so I can do the video stuff. But we have a designer at our office that's like really, really like overly proficient in that kind of stuff, and she knows how to make so many cool videos and different Photoshop photos and things like that. Or illustrations, she can do that too, which is really cool. So it's nice, even if I'm working with her trying to come up with ideas and leveraging her expertise in that and coming up with really cool stuff for social. I think it would be nice if you have a little bit of a background in there. I want to get better at it so then I can at least help sometimes, or do like really basic stuff, which would be really good. Or even if I move on to another role in the future, maybe it would require me to actually be pretty proficient with those apps. So that's something to keep in mind. If you can do the creative stuff, it probably would be very beneficial. Which I know a lot of people can do. So, and there's like easy websites like Canva where you can make different social media graphics and stuff like very, very easily. So you don't even have to do Adobe, because obviously Adobe apps cost money if you're trying to do like learn how to use it before going into a role. Like obviously I feel like a lot of companies would just pay for that for their employee if they're going to be making graphics and stuff. So I love that there are still technical aspects to it in strategy. So I just got done saying that I really don't like technical stuff, but I do like analytics, and I do like how on top of it being creative, there are certain technical points of it in strategy that kind of keep everything grounded, so then everything can still be about what its intended purpose is. Like you can't get too carried away with the creative stuff and then it not have any return on investment in what you're doing with it. And so it's like really cool to be able to like measure how things are performing and look at all the trendy new types of social media posts out there and the types of content, and trying to bring that into your brand and see what your audience likes. And if your audience does engage with a certain type of photos, like photo set or like videos and stuff, you can kind of tailor it to them, which is really cool. And then I put in my day-to-day, I'm always researching and staying up to date on updates, trends, and best practices of different social media algorithms, channels, trends, things like that. I really do like that piece of it. It makes the job fun because you're always learning new things and you're trying to research, and it's a really big topic online. Like there's so many different companies that are all about social media marketing, so they're always putting out new information and blog posts and like doing webinars and stuff that I really like to participate in and learn more about it. So then all the new things, the trendy things, the things that are working and are beneficial for other brands, I can bring that into our strategy and just see how it works with our customers. Obviously there's like, depending on the company you work for, obviously some like right off the bat you'll see like a trend and you're like, this wouldn't work. Like you just know your audience and you know that that's just not the type of content you would give to them because it just doesn't make sense for your product or your company or whatever. But there are some things where you're like, that would be really cool and this could easily be put into our content calendar or our content strategy. So I really do like that aspect of it. I do enjoy the fact that it's such a big market and industry. Like I mentioned earlier, social media marketing is huge. So there's a lot of different places where you can learn about it, stay up to date on it. And I don't know, it's just like, there's a lot of information out there where you can learn how to be the best. I actually got a book for Christmas about like certain social media marketing topics that I really, really liked. And I thought that was really beneficial to what I've already learned in school, what I've learned in personal experience, what I learned online. And then it's just like nice to kind of cover a lot of different outlets so you can, and just different types of marketers, because some people really gravitate toward one thing and some people really are against that. And so it's really interesting to learn all those different things and then build up your strategy. And I really, really like that aspect of it. And it is a really big market. Like so many people are using social media on a regular basis. Enjoy working with a team on campaigns and creative. So I do work with a group of people on a marketing team, and I really, really like that because we do all have like specialized roles, but we come together for different campaigns and ideas, and it's a lot of fun. And I think it helps us like come up with like the best ideas possible, because somebody might start with an idea and then everybody with their different expertise and specialties can add to it, and it is awesome. And I really like that part of it, and it makes it really fun. Instead of, especially if you're trying to be creative and like brainstorm by yourself, I think it can be more effective in a group environment, but it just depends on the individual. And so then I wanted to create a list of some things that I find more challenging, and I put figuring out how everyone will interpret something. And so sometimes if you are trying to create content for social media audiences, you have to be very careful with how somebody can interpret something just because you think something might be funny or interesting or whatever, or the wording makes sense to you. That doesn't mean it's going to translate the same to other people. So it is kind of nice if you do have a team or you do go over it a few times, or just try to like think very objectively, I think that would be the objectively about what you're saying in the messaging, just to make sure that it translates well. And sometimes just keeping it simple and succinct is the best, and like staying in the voice and tone that your brand or your company is already established is also very important. And then I put, it's easy to mess up. Definitely, like especially like we've seen this with like influencers and different people, like YouTubers, whatever, social media people, that they get like canceled all the time, or like companies get canceled just because they don't have effective messaging, and some people are getting offended, or just there's a miscommunication or whatever. You know, it's very easy to mess up. Like online, there's so many eyes on that. People can take screenshots. Like it's like you delete it, it doesn't mean it's gone and away forever. So yeah, especially if you're a high profile brand or person or individual, it's really easy to mess up. So you got to be very careful. So that is something that is more like, just needs to stay top of mind. Sometimes you won't know what your audience like until you try it. And so, yeah, like you can guess what your audience would engage with based off of past behavior and based off of like what your brand, like what makes sense for your company and your brand and your product. But sometimes it's kind of just like right in the middle where you're like, I mean, this could be effective or maybe not so much. So sometimes you just got to try it. And I don't think there's really any harm in doing that. It's like, I mean, in that book that I read, it's like you're only as good as your last post. And that is true, but that doesn't mean there's not room for, you know, trying new things. And if it flops, do something else, and just make sure that you're attentive to that and just tailoring your strategy to that. And some other notes I just wanted to add is I've enjoyed getting to learn a lot from more experienced colleagues and coworkers. Like that has been very beneficial to me. I'm like the youngest person in the office that I work in. And so the other people on the marketing team, like there's a couple girls that I work with a lot that aren't that much older than me at all, but like they definitely have more experience with different companies and this company than I do. So it's been really nice just to hear different things from them and talk to them about their experiences and just learn from them with all different things. Like I really, really like that. And I think that's an opportunity for everyone. I think that's good for anyone who's just really just starting off into the workforce, just to be very receptive to learning from others that have more experience than you. I've just really enjoyed that. I think it's fun because it is kind of scary going into that in the dark. And like for a while there too, I definitely felt like imposter syndrome. Is it syndrome or is it effect or imposter theory? I forget. I think it's syndrome. I don't know. But I felt that. Let me look it up. This is going to bother me now. Actually, it's kind of nice having my computer right here in front of me. So imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon, which I definitely did experience, and I feel like probably a lot of people experience when they first go into a professional work environment and it's like their first job. And there are many things that pop up before you even think about it. And that's just like the same thing as like social media moves very, very quickly, and things change and algorithms change and best practices change, and just like everything like that. So sometimes it is very important and critical you stay up to date with that stuff and just be like very reflective on the work you're currently doing and the work you have done, and just tailor that for your, you know, what going forward, because I think that's very important with something that moves this quickly and is something that so many people, audiences consume, and it's just very important in a marketing strategy. So that's pretty much the last note I wanted to add to that. If you guys have any questions about working in social media marketing or anything like that, let me know in the comments below. It's definitely going to be different depending on the brand and the company you work for, with like guidelines and things like that. And also you'll like find out, like once you are in the job and longer and working with that company longer, you definitely will be able to assimilate pretty easily on what works for their social media strategy and their audiences. But like obviously doing social media with Pink and Victoria's Secret Pink and MetLife and the company that I work at now, all completely different. And so, and even like personal social media use, you know, so it's very interesting to kind of like separate all of those and just kind of balance between them and just seeing like what is most effective for the different audiences and the industry. So it's really interesting. But yeah, there's tons of resources online. Again, if you have questions, let me know. I might come up with some more recommendations for you guys in terms of like education resources, books, things like that, if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see any other videos that are just different topics in the future that I may be able to address. And follow my Instagram, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.